Alright guys, today I'm going to show you how to take this picture and color it on your phone using IbisPaintX. It's a freeware program, so you should not have to pay anything for the program. And it looks like that. So first things first, I want to take a good picture. So if I put my camera like this, you'll notice that in my phone, I'm like totally shading my picture out with the phone itself. So I'm going to actually stand up, get my camera nice and back, okay, so that I'm back here. And I'm going to put my image in the corner so that I'm still casting a shadow, but it's not on my picture at all. My shadow is actually down at the bottom, mostly on the table, a little bit on my picture, but mostly on the table. And then I'm going to use the crop tool in my phone, and I'm going to crop out everything that isn't my picture, including the little bit of table on the right side and the top, because all that stuff's going to make my picture dirty in the computer. So I want to make sure I completely crop all of that out. And then I might use the settings on my phone to play around with the black point and the contrast and the brightness to get all of my line work and my background to kind of be more distinctive before I get started. I go pretty quick when I'm going through the phone stuff, so feel free to pause the video and go back as needed and keep watching it. For those of you who have not done this before, it will be a little bit of a challenge, and you will need to put some extra effort into trying to get this done correctly. That's okay. I think you just need to take that time, pause the video, get yourself to the next level, and then watch the next part and keep moving forward like that. Don't just watch the whole thing or you're going to forget almost all of it when you go to try and practically apply this.
Okay guys, so what we are going to do is we are going to take this Ibis paint, and I took my photo and I cropped it down, and so I'm going to hit the plus button and I'm going to hit import picture. I'm going to go to all photos and I'm going to pick the one I cropped, and I'm going to say recommended because it'll make it a little more manageable for my computer. And it's asking, should we extract the line art, line drawing? And I'm going to say okay. And I can slide the black up, I can slide the middle down, and I could play with this till I get something that's not quite so pixely. And then I'll say okay, and now I've got this line art. And if I click on the layers, so right here is the square down here at the bottom is the layers. If I click on that, I can see that the background shows some options: white, checkerboard, or dark checkerboard. If I click checkerboard, the checkerboard just represents what's invisible. So by clicking that checkerboard, now it shows you what's transparent. And what's transparent now is everything that isn't the black lines, which is awesome. That's what that extract line art feature is all about. So then I'm going to open the layers again, and I'm going to click a new layer. And if you look here on the left, the plus, and then the plus below that with the two sheets of paper is to duplicate this layer. I don't want that. The regular plus is just a new layer. So now I've got a new layer on top. It's blue, so that's where I'm working. I know I'm working on that blue layer, not on the line layer. I'm going to grab it on the side where there's the three lines, and I'm going to drag it underneath. Now when I'm on that layer, I'm going to click the brush. And there are lots of brushes you could choose from, and some of them you have to watch ads to make sure that you can use them. I'm using the first free dip pen hard. I think it's the second total pen on the whole thing. So dip pen hard is what I'm using. It'll give me nice clean lines. And I'm going to click on this square right here for the color, and you may actually have to click this up arrow to even get those things to show like this, but I'm going to click that square and I'm going to find a color, and I kind of want my guy to be like some kind of putrescent green. So I'm going to go back here, I'm going to find the green, and right now it's black. You could see the color up here. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to kind of move it around till it's green enough It's a cartoon, so I don't want it to be too gross. I can slide this to make my brush bigger or smaller. See that? And I want it bigger, and I want this bottom bar to be at 100% because that's my opacity. I want to start with it bigger. Oops. And that's the undo button up there. So if you made a mistake, you want to undo it, you can undo it there. I'm going to actually be loose about this. I lied to you. So I'm going to just loosely color everywhere. All over my guy. And I'm going to use a different base color for the alligator. So for the alligator, I'm going to make him a little more green and a little darker. So something like that. And I'm not being careful about my color at all. Go back to your layer with the lines, select it so it's blue, so I'm working on that layer. Click on the paintbrush, there's all the tools here. I'm going to click on the magic wand, and now I'm going to click, actually I lied to you, so I'm going to hide my green layer. See this eyeball? I click that eyeball and it hides or reveals it. I'm going to hide it so it's only my line work. Okay, and I'm going to click this over here, remove selection. That's going to take my selection away. And now I'm going to magic wand, and you'll notice the magic wand goes all around my guys except for where there's like a closed space. So this should be part of my background. There's a little one here in his foot, and I'm using 2 fingers to zoom and move through my picture. 1 finger to click. Now, when I did that, I could see it grabbed all my lines. I tapped the wrong thing, so I'm just going to undo and zoom in more so it's easier for me to get the right spot. That will happen to some of you. This armhole here. And I think I got everything. Then I'm going to click this. I'm going to make my green layer active, and I'm going to make it visible. And then I'm going to click over here to get the eraser. Do you see the eraser now? It's that little square, and I'm going to rub it over the whole thing. And it looks like I'm erasing everything, but when I stop, everything that's not selected won't get colored. Do you guys understand that? Great. The hardest thing is the remove selection. At the top here, I've got this dotted line square. Click that, and just say remove selection. Now, I'm on the green layer. That's perfect. That's what I want. It's visible. I'm good. But there's one more thing I want to do, and there's that alpha lock, and it's a little lock with an A on it, and it says alpha lock. I'm going to click that. And what that's going to do is, let's choose a different color. So let's say his little loincloth thing, I want to make that kind of a brown. So browns are always in the orange. And I'm going to make it kind of a brown like this. So what's cool about that alpha lock is, oops, I'm still in the eraser tool there. Switched it to the paintbrush. The cool thing about the alpha lock is it will only let me color where the pixels are not transparent. So as long as I have that marked, and it's layer specific, you can see it's only on that layer. Once I have that marked, it will color on like the green stomach, which I don't want. I'm going to reduce my brush size a little. But where it's transparent, it's not going to color at all. So that's going to give me a chance to color here without it getting into the background at all. And if it goes a little bit where I want it to, should I erase on the green? No, I shouldn't, because what will happen if I erase on the green is it's going to erase the green and the brown. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click these tools again, and there's the eyedropper tool. I'm going to click on this eyedropper tool, and I'm going to click on the green, and that's going to automatically switch back to my brush and switch me to that green, and I can paint back in with the green. Still the alpha lock's on, so it won't go outside. Got my pressure sensitivities messing with me a little bit, so you could try a lighter touch if it's spreading too much. Okay, so now I'm getting his skin colored and his loincloth. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to color everything the color I want. So let's say I want his teeth to be kind of yellowy. Color his teeth. Notice how I'm coloring right under the black? Oh, went way outside again, so I'm going to get that green with my eyedropper tool, color it back. And then I push too far back over here, so I'm going to kind of push back a little, get that green out of his teeth. The mushrooms, I kind of want to use like a gray for the stem, a very light gray for all the stems. Those are the only, oh, there's one more on his shoulder. Oh, and look at that. I noticed that I'm going to take Alpha Lock off. And I'm going to get the eraser tool and I'm going to make it pretty small. Come in and erase that because that's supposed to be empty space. Alpha Lock back on so I don't accidentally mess up. And I think those are all the stems that I have. So now I'm going to start painting all the caps. Let me fix this real quick here. A little gray got there. Now I'm going to paint all the caps. And I don't want to paint them bright red. I know that's a typical mushroom color, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to paint them kind of a darker gray-brown color. Maybe somewhere like that. And if I don't like it, I'll go back and change it. I think that's pretty good. Maybe it's not good. Let's see if we can make it maybe a more red-brown. So at least I get that red vibe, but it's not so powerful. Oops. Always can do that undo button immediately. Alright, so now I'm going to go through and get my other mushrooms, and some of them I'm going to pretend they're baby forms of these. So I'm going to keep the caps. And I'm just using my finger, I'm not using a stylus at all. Keep using that eyedropper to get the right color. Okay, and I haven't decided if those other things are going to be mushrooms or like boils on them. I think I'm just going to make them mushrooms, because if I made them boils, they'd be kind of gross. Maybe grosser than I want. Gonna make my brush even smaller. Okay. So one of the things that I want to talk to you about is what kind of graphics these are. So these graphics are called bitmap graphics. So if I zoom way in, I'm going to have like a choppy line. Everything's made out of squares. That would have been better if I didn't choose recommended to make it smaller, but it also would have made the file really big and cumbersome. So it would have been a better resolution, less pixely, if I zoomed way in. If you want to do that, you're welcome to. Not if I zoom way in. Sorry, if I didn't say recommended, if I used the original size. I'm going to highlight these bad boys right here. Maybe they're too. They need to be a little more toned down. That's too intense. And the shelf mushrooms that are there, I'm going to pick some kind of a yellow color. Maybe like a lighter yellow here. We got a little shelf mushroom on his forehead. Okay. Then I'm going to color his eyes, and I'm going to go for white here, just so that's the thing that pops and draws our attention. I'm not going to do the alligator right now. I'm going to just show you this. Oh, I missed some of these, so I need that cap color. Come in here. Alright, so I'm mostly got my base down for him. I think those like pustule things that I have, I'm going to get this green and then I'm going to kind of change it a little. And I can see how different it's going to look up here. I don't want it so different that it stands out. You know, these are like those big veiny things I did. Kind of like vines growing around him. And I'm going to take the same color and go look at his face and see if like there's something I should color this way. I don't think so right now. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to change my brush. And I'm going to find airbrush normal. That's also, I don't have to watch an ad. Press the double down arrow. And for this one, I'm going to kind of like put it lightly on his lip. You see that this airbrush normal is not working very well. I wonder if, oh, it is working very well, but it's the whole big giant brush was like doing the whole face, so it was just darkening everything. So this will give me like a soft coloring. Use it on his nose a little. Maybe under or around his eyes a little. Just be careful it doesn't get on his eye. Make it a little bigger to soften it out here. Okay. So I kind of got a good start here. I feel pretty good. Oh, I missed a boy. So let's change the brush back to hard. Oh, and one thing I wanted to do is I wanted to soften the edges of these, the transition. So I'm going to go back to the eyedropper, get the lighter color, go back to the airbrush normal. Okay, and I'm going to make that a little bigger. And then the ends, I'm going to just kind of push back with this soft brush here on the ends of them so they kind of fade into the skin, so they don't just stop color-wise. And I can use this kind of soft brush for like cheek highlights and stuff, things like that. So I think I feel pretty good about where we're at. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shade the whole thing. So I'm going to go to layers. I'm going to stay on the layer I'm at. That's good. I'm going to hide the line layer. And I'm going to magic wand the empty space. Now I have this second box clicked so I can keep adding to my selection. So you guys should have that clicked. Make sure I get all the nooks and crannies. And I'm going to ignore whatever's going on the alligators, so I don't really care about that. Then I'm going to open layers. Now that I have this selection, I'm going to create a new layer. It'll automatically be on top of my color and below my lines. You see that? And I'm going to click this, and I'm going to get a purpley blue-gray color. That's kind of on the darker side, just like that. And I'm going to hide my color. Oops. Oh, you know what I need to do? I need to change my selection here. So I'm going to click on this and say invert selection area. I'm going to undo this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reveal everything. On this layer, I'm going to go from normal down here. You see how it says normal? I'm on this layer, this blank layer. I've got my selection on. I'm going to go from normal to multiply. And then I'm also going to take this bar here and I'm going to slide it down to about 36%. I'm going to get the paintbrush and I'm going to come in here. I could use a soft airbrush like that, but I'm going to go for a hard line here. And the bigger the brush, the easier it is to get a nice smooth curve on it. And I'm going to just shade on here. And what will happen is whatever color is there will, because I have it on multiply, because I have the opacity down, whatever color is there will get slightly reduced and slightly shifted to the purple side. So I'm going to take my time and shade this whole guy, imagining where the light is coming from. I'm not just going to be random about it. I'm going to really think where it's going to cast a shadow and where there's going to be shadow on it itself. Again, I have that selection tool on. That's going to help my color stay on my guy instead of jumping out. Again, I'm just using my finger. There's no stylus. You can use a stylus if you have one. Might make your life easier. Switch to the eraser tool and kind of clean some of this. Because it's on its own layer, I can just push and pull with the eraser and the brush. And because it's not color specific, because it's affecting all color the way I'm doing it, I can just do everything indiscriminately. I can paint on this layer. The only thing is, it will be hard for you to select this color again. Since it's on this layer, you'll have to change. If you wanted to select this color, you would have to change the layer blending mode back to normal, and you'd have to change the opacity back up to get this to show you the actual color you're using. You can't just sample it like this, or it'll sample what you're looking at, not what the actual color you're using is. Kind of went a little too aggressive on the face, and I'm reshaping it so that it's not just so wild. Taking my time building up these shadows. Again, the brush I'm using is not like it's a little clumsy. That's what I'm trying to say, so I want to just make sure that I'm going back with the eraser and kind of like reshaping some of this. So these lines aren't like just chunky at the ends. Finishing up. And I feel pretty good about it. I think that this is definitely something I could work with. Take my selection off. Create another layer. And this one I'm going to drag all the way to the bottom. And on this layer, I can put a color. So maybe I'm going to put a light grayish color. Use the paint bucket. For this program, it's good to hide the other layers so that your paint just covers the whole thing. And then another thing I can do is go back to create a new layer that's going to be multiply, and that's going to be reduced opacity, and then get a brush and create another purpley gray color here and paint that under the guy nice and big, like his shadow. And this could be done soft or hard, it's fine either way. And notice how it just automatically goes under my line work, under my color, because of where I place the layer. So I'm gonna actually get rid of the alligator, even though it's supposed to be part of my thing, just so you could see without it where I got. I'm erasing it on the color layer. Well, I didn't get it all. It's like a little green there. And then I'm going to erase it on the line layer. Being careful not to get the guy. There's lines right next to him. Okay? And so there I go. That's my finished guy. Feeling pretty good about him. I didn't just cut him in half and shade half and then not shade the other half. Maybe I could have messed around a little, lightened up parts of the teeth, or given him drool, or put a little red fade on his eyes by using the magic wand on the white and putting pink on it in the around the edge. So there's some things you could do, but here we go. When I'm all done, I'm going to click this arrow, save as PNG or transparent PNG. It doesn't matter about the transparent PNG because I put a background on it. But if I wanted this guy to float out like a sticker, I would say save as transparent PNG. But I'm going to just say save as PNG. And now that's in my folder, and I could just use that anytime I, just like a picture. So I could turn that